My name is Brooke Stika. I'm the Executive Director of the Chamber. Tonight's moderator is Mike Herman. He is an advisory member of the Chamber, and then our forum timekeeper is Barb Boothie. I want to thank the candidates, Mike and Barb, for participating in tonight's important event. Please welcome the school board candidates, Carrie Cuff, Leo Giesen, Matt Goldaddy, Dennis Havlicek, Kim Holden, and Jean Schmidt. We are streaming this event live and recording the forum, so please be sure to speak right into your microphones. I will turn it over to Mike.
I just saw you guys, there was a lot of you guys last week, so good to see you again. Before we get into it, I'm going to give you all a little bit of ground rules. And I guess I'll start with the first rule being for the audience. Audience, I need you to hold your applause and your screaming for the candidates to get done with their questions. And if you could hold your applause until everyone has answered all of the questions, that would be great. We appreciate it. Also, this is going to be live streamed today. So we mentioned make sure you're speaking into the microphones or they won't be able to hear you on the live stream. For those that are watching it on the live stream, you guys are welcome to cheer and celebrate as much as you want. I encourage you to flick the lights on and off and do whatever you need. Candidates, you're going to have 6 general questions that you're all going to get. They're all the same questions, and we're going to answer them one at a time. Each one of you will start each question, so you're not always going to be first. If you need to have the question repeated, I am happy to do that. Just ask. I'll try to repeat it on and off as I see as if it's needed as we go forward. And at the end, after we've answered all the questions, you are going to be given a brief amount of time to give essentially your closing statement or your final pitch for why you'd like to be on the New Prague School Board. Candidates are going to be given a minute and a half to answer your question. And during that time, we will have a green card at 30 seconds. Barb's holding that up. Then there will be a 15-second yellow card. And when your time is done, you'll see a red card. And we'd like you to finish your thought at that point in time and finish your question. We do have a lot to get through, so we ask that you respect the timekeeper. I don't want to have her come up there and throw you out. Finally, for everybody here, remember this is not a debate. This is a forum. So answer the question you're given in the best way you see fit, but we're not here to argue with each other over the answers that are given. And that kind of falls in again to the audience. We want you to understand that everybody's going to be answering these questions. It is not a debate. We're not going to yell our own opinions out. I thank everybody for cooperating with the ground rules, and we'll get started. First question that we're going to ask today, and our first person to answer will be Carrie Cuff. What motivated you to run for the school board, and what experiences have you had that make you a good candidate for the New Prague Area School Board?
Thank you, and thank you for hosting this tonight. I'm Carrie Cuff, and I live in Newmarket. We've been there since 2018, when we purchased our home, and absolutely fell in love with our neighborhood, our community, and just kind of everything about this area. We had exchange students over the last couple of years, which really brought our familiarity with the school district and allowed us to work with the amazing teachers that were here and just see kind of everything that brings the magic together for New Prague School District. The reason I'm running is because I have an extreme passion for students. I've been doing youth ministry for a little over 20 years, and the next generation, I just want them to succeed. And that's really the bottom line for what's running. I also believe in being a public servant. I think it's important for us all to give back to the communities that we live in, and truly bringing those two things together into a position where I might be helpful. This seemed like a really good fit. And so that's why I'm running, and I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, Carrie. We're going to move on to Leo Giesen. Leo, same question. What motivated you to run for the school board, and what experiences have you had that make you a good candidate?
Thank you for having me. I am a New Prague native resident. I went through this school district. This is probably one of the premier school districts in the state. I know the education I got here was on par for general academics with many of my coworkers who had college experience. And I would like to see that continue. I think there is the main reason I'm voting is I think there is a responsibility for the school district to be reportable and to be responsible to the people of the district. I don't think there's been enough answers and transparency forthcoming, and I would like to change that. I think that'll do.
Thank you, Leo. Mr. Goldaddy,
Yes, sir.
would you like me to repeat that question?
No, you don't need to, so.
Go ahead.
So I'm Matt Goldaddy. I am currently in my 5th year as a board member, the last 2 as board chair. So I'm married to my wife, Maggie. I have 3 kids in the district, 8th grade, 6th grade, and 4th grade. My day job, I'm a tax accountant. So numbers, finance, budgetary items in the last 5 years as I've been a board member has proven to help me in my role. So in 2011, I'm a transplant to New Prague. In 2011, we moved here when my wife was pregnant with my then 8th grade. She's now 8th grade. But we moved here because 1, we had family here, so we had that built-in support system, and then 2, just the school reputation. So we came here knowing that our kids were going to be able to raise our kids in a small town with a school that, like Leo said, has a huge reputation of being one of the best districts in the state. I'm passionate about our organization succeeding. So I know that a strong community starts with a strong school system. And leading through this, it helps me being able to, knowing that, and knowing that the success later in life for kids is based upon the education they receive. So I'm just passionate about making sure this organization as a whole is successful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to Mr. Dennis Havlicek.
Good evening, and thank you to the Chamber for hosting this event. It's my pleasure to be here. And it's also been my pleasure to be a school board member for over 28 years. And I'm very proud to say that because I'm very proud of my school district. My wife and I, Lynn, back there, live on an apple orchard. We've raised 5 children, and all 5 of those are graduates of New Prague High School. I myself am a 1965 graduate of New Prague High School. And my history keeps going back to 1961 when a little chubby guy from Vesely was walking into a brand new school that the school board approved to build, and we were the first kids to enter that schoolhouse. And I was awestruck. I couldn't believe this beautiful school that I get to have a privilege of going to. And that was as a kid, growing up. And that has never left me in all those years that I've been alive since then. And the education that I got here did me well. I mean, when you start out from a poor family and have a lot of things that are not necessarily in your corner as far as getting off to a good start, a good education is a secret. And it has been the secret for me, and I've been nothing but proud of being able to say that I'm a graduate of New Prague High School, and I want to pay back to my district. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Kim Holden, what motivated you to run for the school board, and what experiences have you had that make you a good candidate?
I decided to run for the school board after my kids were through elementary school and middle school, and I volunteered at the elementary school and helped teachers and do projects, correct paperwork, all those kind of things. And And mind you, I had a full-time job, but I did this on my lunch hour, or I took a couple hours because my job was flexible to be able to do that. So I wanted to learn more about what the kids did. I wanted to see, interact, and learn, see you're actually physically in the building, so you see what the teachers do. You see how the kids are interacting and how the teachers work with them and the help they need to get things done. I'm a graduate of New Prague High School. I always have been proud of New Prague. Strong community, strong schools. We are a quality school. I'm a current board member. I've been on the board this is my 9th year. And we've made a lot of difficult decisions. I want to continue to help and support the schools. I think we have a great staff. I think volunteering is great. And I also have an accounting background in my current job, which helps also in budgets and different things. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. And we're going to move on to Jean Schmidt.
Hi, thanks for holding tonight. It's really a pleasure to be here, and it's such an honor to be in this school district and have our children here. My husband and I moved out here in 2008, and we have 5 children, and 3 of them have graduated from New Prague High School. And part of what motivated me to get onto the school board is just our experience here has been so good and so rich. When we moved out here, we decided right away that I was going to get involved as much as I could, and my husband as well. And so we jumped in. I was able to lead or help facilitate a Moms in Prayer group. I was on the board for New Prague Boys High School Hockey, New Prague Boys and Girls High School Lacrosse as a treasurer, as a president. I was on the PTO at Eagleview. I was asked to start that group, and I was a president on that group as well as in the board. And just one thing led into the other, simply because we support this community so much. I have great faith in our teachers and our staff and our administration. It's just been an excellent experience for us. My husband and I own a business in Lakeville, and we've been there for 25 years, and I would consider myself the CFO, and so I bring that strength to the board as well. I've been part of this board now for just since the beginning of this year, and I'm still learning a lot, but I am motivated because I believe in our kids, and I believe in our community.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to move on to our second question, and this one is going to start with Mr. Giesen. What do you consider to be the greatest strengths for the New Prague area schools?
Well, it's a fairly long list, but I go first with what I started with, the academic achievements of this school. It's very high. We're still a school that has the industrial arts and the theater, choir, all that other stuff. I have a son who just went to DCTC. The New Prague students there were the only ones who had any background in shop classes, anything like that. Most of the other schools have dropped it. I think that's just one more avenue of success for our kids, is keeping all those programs in place. We have a strong sports program. While we're competing against other schools, I have had sons and daughters involved in almost every sport in this school, and the coaching and mentoring by the staff has been incredible for every one of them. And I would just like to see that continue.
Thank you, Mr. Giesen. Moving on to Mr. Matt Goldaddy. Same question. Greatest strengths in the New Prague schools?
So to me, this is easy, and I think it's teachers. So we've done an exceptional job hiring and retaining great teachers. I mean, every single survey we put out, whether it was for the end of the year or whether it was from when we were trying to do the referendum, the feedback on our surveys is always extremely strong when it comes to our teachers. Two, providing wide range of opportunities for our kids. So whether that's extracurricular activities, that's the sports and the arts, like the MARS program, which we have, the business and healthcare, different avenues that we have there, and also just college and schools. I think we attract, because of that, we attract a lot of open enrollment and we retain a lot of our own kids. So I know the numbers recently were put out. We have a net inflow of over 425 kids coming from other districts because we attract those kids to our district. Losing kids to private school and homeschooling is back to pre-pandemic levels. The number, less than, I think it's about 300 at this point. So I think we have a lot to be proud of, and I think it shows through the numbers that we're bringing kids into our district from other districts, and then as well as retaining our kids that we have within our own district.
Thank you, Matt. Mr. Havlicek?
Well, I'll be self-serving and say we have a great board. But seriously, we do. I know it's been knocked by some people by saying we're not transparent enough. We are, losing our touch with the school district people, and that's baloney. I think our school board is top-notch, and I'm very proud of being on this board. The next thing is our staff. I know our teachers, top-notch, but everybody else in our school district staff is important, from custodians, cooks, everybody. We have wonderful people that are working in our school district, and I have nothing but pride for those people because this is their income, this is their vocation, and the bottom line is they're doing it for the kids, and that's the main thing. And if they wouldn't be doing it for the children, they wouldn't be working as hard as they are. So we also have rigorous programs. A lot of schools have, dummied down. I'll use the word dummied down, and give kids A's and B's when they really don't deserve A's and B's. When a kid gets an A and a B in the school district of DuPrague, they've earned it, and it means something. So I think we have a rigorous program, great facilities, and a super staff.
Thank you very much. Ms. Kim Holden, same question.
I consider the greatest strength is the teachers and the administration. I've dealt with many in the administration. I've dealt with many different teachers over the course of my years, and I think they do a great job. I think they are open and honest and try to work with your kids, and we're one of the largest employers in the community. We collaborate. We create relationships in the community and in our schools. We create partnerships. We do things such as, which we just did last week, Career and Tech Day, which we're trying to promote kids to learn what they would like to do, whether it's move on to 4-year college, 2-year college, or just get out into the workforce. But it's giving them the opportunity to see maybe what they would like to do, and it's at an earlier stage so that they have more time to think about it and what they want to do. Our quality of kids, I think, is great. I just had a Powder Puff game this year, and they were honest. They helped each other out in paying for each other if they needed to. Kindness was there. You didn't see anybody fighting and arguing. And the many, many opportunities for kids to learn and grow through classes and different things. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Ms. Jean Schmidt?
I wish I could just say ditto to everything everyone just said because it's all true. Everything they said. Just to go off of that, I would say our finance. We have had to be extremely creative and strategic in our finance in the last few years with 2 failed levies. And I have such respect for our administration and how they have pulled our budget together so that it's balanced, it's strategic, it's fiscally responsible. It has been no small task, and we have been the witness to that at this board table. And our books have been very transparent. Anyone can call and ask any question about it. It's public information. So I've been really, really impressed with our finance. And then I could go with teaching, which I adore our teachers and our staff, as well as the safety and security measures that are put in place in this district that they continue to work over and be very cognizant of so that our children are safe and secure. And then last, I just want to give a quick story. I was witness, and I think this happens all the time. Last Friday night, our son was in the football game. Parents came and represent their children and were honored out on the field. We had a player that did not have a parent there. One of our coaches stepped in to stand in and support that player. That is just a small picture of the brilliance that we can stand back and watch in our staff and how we come together. So I feel that those are key strengths.
Thank you, Jean. And turning to Miss Carrie Cuff.
The first one I want to highlight is teachers. I think there's some amazing teachers that have been attracted and have stayed at this district, and they pour their hearts and souls out. It's a difficult job. I wouldn't want to do it, but you can tell their commitment and how much they care about the kids, and that's really awesome to have those. And I think from what they've said from the website, you can find a lot of good things that the district does. And I'm going to use the rest of my time to highlight a couple things where we could probably just put some focus on to do better in the future. One of them is the parent engagement and communication. I know that that's part of the superintendent's goals this year, is to really figure out how to best communicate with parents, how to get them involved, how to get them to return surveys. You can fact check me, Mr. Boothie, but I believe that 428 people responded to the survey that was in here. And that's like 11% of the families. And how do we get that? How do we get that engagement back? The other one is goal setting. How can we set goals that we all can buy into, teachers, students, community, whomever, and so that whatever we're doing is measuring up against those. And I think that's a really important thing to have in place so we're all going in the same direction.
Thank you very much. And we will move to our third question. This question is first going to be given to Matt Goldaddy. What is your position on our district's continued participation in the Minnesota State High School League? And how would you evaluate whether remaining in the league is in the best interest of our students and community?
Well, thanks for that question. So, because it's something that we've been part of for a very long time. And so, I guess to answer the question just quickly is, yes, we need to remain as part of the Minnesota State High School League. I don't think for one moment I've thought that we should abandon the Minnesota State High School League and not give that opportunity for our kids. If there was a viable option, another option, maybe we would be exploring a whole different avenue. But at this point, we would have no opportunity to give our kids to play any sports or any type of activities because it's all facilitated through the Minnesota State High School League. So abandoning that would just be detrimental to our children. Our kids and the extracurriculars, there's just beyond just the physical activity and the sports, that the things that they learn within the athletics and the arts will hold true to them. Some of my best memories as a kid in high school and elementary is participating in the extracurricular activities. And so to not give that opportunity to our kids would be detrimental. So yes, staying in the Minnesota State High School League is very, very important.
Thank you very much. We will move next to Mr. Dennis Havlicek.
To me, this is a no-brainer. I feel as though an organization like the Minnesota State High School League has to be in place. We're not unique in this by any means either. Many, and I'd say most states have something similar to this because you need coordination. You need to have some type of governance over the activities of the districts that are competing and are in the state. And if you don't, then you have a whole bunch of side shows, so to speak. But this gives us a definite straight point at which we are heading to. They sponsor competition, and that competition is regulated. They sponsor sportsmanship, which is regulated. They promote things which are very necessary. We have a good Minnesota State High School League, and to even think of eliminating that or pulling out of it is crazy in my books. I don't know where that idea is coming from. But the main thing that it does is it has such a varied source of activities for students. People think right away about sports. Well, baloney. There's robotics, there's the drones, there's one one act play competition. It goes on and on and on. Fine arts are covered very much in this Minnesota State High School League, as well as sports. So to get rid of that, our membership in it is just crazy.
Thank you, Mr. Havlicek. Ms. Kim Holden.
Well, Denny mainly took what I had to say, but honestly, yes, I do believe that we should have the Minnesota State High School League, and I think it does give up a lot of opportunities to kids in sports, plays, robotics, fine arts, all the different things, and it also teaches them beyond. There's also an academic piece of it that is important too for students, and it teaches them collaboration, communication, teamwork, team building. It's a chance to make new friends and learn how to work together. And it also makes them happy. They get to be doing something outside of their school day that's fun for them other than just homework. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Ms. Jean Schmidt.
I agree soundly with everyone who's spoken so far. The Minnesota State High School League supports, gives way for kids to get together and play athletics, perform in fine arts competitions. They sanction them, and like Denny was saying, it provides a medium to have organization and structure in it. There's probably a lot of people that we're talking to right now that aren't aware of really who they are and what they do. I have a good friend, Jumi Barlis, who actually is on the board. She homeschools her children, but she is part of the board because she believes in it wholly. She's a coach in Prior Lake, and this is something she's behind, and she does, and she supports. And we had a conversation recently, and she said she would do it 100 times over. There are almost 500 schools in the Minnesota State High School League. If we were not part of it, let's just put that out there. If we were not part of it, to allow ourselves into any competition that would be equitable would be a very difficult place to find. The Minnesota State High School League, they provide the judges, the officials, tournament play, organization with all of it. It's just a wonderful organization, and I fully support it. Thank you.
And turning over to Ms. Carrie Cuff.
Yes, I'm in full support of staying in the Minnesota State High School League. Like Denny, I don't know where a lot of it's coming from, and like Matt said, there's not alternatives out there floating around to look at. I was in dance, I was in sports, our exchange students were in sports. It's one of the things that is on my website as I'm running for is supplemental activities. And whether it's sports, it's robotics, it's theater, it is whatever it is, that makes well-rounded kids. We can do the academics, and they're very, very important. But kids, like you said, Kim, like they learn different skills by being on a team. And I just think that time is really valuable. I also think that we need to make sure that kids have access to it. So I think the bus that used to, and I'm not saying this just because I live in Newmarket, but the bus that used to come there got cut. And so kids that would have had the opportunity to go because their parents can't pick them up now can't. And I just think that it's super important to have that there for everybody. And I believe in sports and activities.
Thank you, Carrie. Mr. Giesen.
Well, I will answer the same as everybody else. There's no question about being in the Minnesota State High School League. There's no alternative to it. And by not supporting it, by not being in it, that just, it cuts out a quarter to a half of all our activities in the school, where it becomes intramural or it disappears completely. And I think all of those programs are far too important for the kids. There's any number of kids who put up with school because of the stuff they do after it. And it's, when you're in school, it's what you're looking for at the end of the day that gets you through the day, and to take that away, I don't think is even slightly feasible.
Thank you very much. Going to move on to our fourth question, and Mr. Havlicek, you are going to start this one off for us. What do you see the greatest challenge or the top priority will be for the New Prague area schools?
Could I have clarification on that? Is this long-term or short-term?
It is whatever you see the greatest challenge or the top priority will be. If it's a long-term challenge or a short-term challenge is up to you.
Well, I'll do both. On the short term, I believe that we need to correct something that didn't go right for us a couple of months ago, and that is the failure of the bond referendum. And I believe that for some reason, one of our board members chose not to support it. And when that happened, it immediately put us behind the 8 ball on getting it passed. And because of that, we have a financial issue that we've got to deal with right now. I also believe that we've done wisely in our finances, and it isn't something that has been our fault that we need to go out for that levy referendum. The legislature has kind of put this into school districts' hands because they support us to a certain extent, and then they say, well, if you want to go for excellent education, well, then go ahead and get a bond referendum passed. Well, that puts us into a situation where either we don't or we go with just a mediocre education. In New Prague, we want excellence. The other thing is the long-term goal, and that is, or a long-term challenge, and that is keeping an environment in New Prague where we recruit the best staff, especially the best teachers that we can in our district. And we have to maintain that, and we've got to do a good job of keeping a good environment where we continue to attract good teachers.
Thank you very much. We're going to move to Ms. Holden. You can do the same thing if you want to give us a short-term goal or a long-term goal or both. What's the greatest challenge or the top priority that you see for the New Prague area schools?
I think one of the greatest challenges is the bond referendum and not having it pass. That is a big thing with cutting transportation and different things, larger class sizes, staffing, not having the staffing that we would normally have for all the students we have. We need to maintain the quality staff and teachers and find ways, innovative ways to maintain them. We need our teachers. We need our education system. Making sure we meet the needs of the kids and continuing to work with the kids is important, but you have to have the staff to do it. We need to be clear on communication. Transparency should be a top priority too. It seems like we have different, varying opinions of transparency. It's like we work on that. There's always ways that you can continue to work and improve at things. And another thing that I would say is declining enrollment. We just had a work session last night. We have 325 graduating kids, but we only have 190 incoming kindergartners. So that's going to be an issue moving forward.
Thank you, Kim.
Yep.
We're moving on to Jean Schmidt.
Would you mind repeating the question
Sure.
again? Okay.
The question was, what do you see as the greatest challenge or top priority of the New Prague area schools? And the previous responses included a short-term goal and a long-term goal.
It's a really good question. You know, we do have a balanced budget, but it is lacking, if we were to be honest. Right now in the state of Minnesota, we are positioned at the lowest 4% of local taxpayer dollars that are given to our school district. At the same time, our median income in the district as a whole exceeds the 50th percentile. So I see that potentially the funds are there and available to people, but we've not supported the levy. My concern is we have got to keep our eyes on the kids. and their education. They are the future of this community, and we need to continue to support them. And how do we do that? With appropriate teaching staff, with appropriate interventions, with resources that they need to really be able to grow to their limits that they can, to exceed what they think their potential is, so that when they turn out into the workforce, they've got options. And how we do that is to pass this levy. So I think that right now that's where our focus needs to be, and that's what we need to get behind. Yeah.
Thank you, Jean. And turning it over to Carrie Cuff.
I would say enrollment. I think Kim already gave the stat, but I'll restate it that next year there'll be over 300 graduating and only 199 kindergartners coming back. And so if that pattern sustains over time, it will be detrimental. We'll just put it that way. But I think there's a lot of things that come with enrollment. I think you can increase your enrollment by attracting more open enrollment students. How can we get more to come to our district? Because really funding comes with kids, right? For each of them, the state gives us money, and that's how we get the base of what we have in our budget. So what can we do about attracting open enrollment? What else can we do about going and having conversations with the people that left? Is there reasons you left? Is there something that needs to be changed? How can we partner with you to have your kid come back in some capacity? Because I think that's really important, and I think that all kind of comes back to that communication thing and building strong partnerships, having goals, and really trying to figure out some alternatives for getting kids in here, besides just, looking directly at costs.
Thank you, Carrie. Mr. Giesen.
It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be funding. There's so many things involved with that, some of them in our control, some of them not in our control. I don't know if we can partner with the chamber or partner with somebody else. New Prague needs business. That's one of the largest incomes for the school, far more so than the individual homeowner, taxpayer, is the businesses. That's not in our control. We've got a very unique set of circumstances here where we're a school district for 3 separate counties. Tax rate in all 3 counties are completely different. Some people feel like they're already overburdened with taxes. Other people have a little bit more room where they're not as strapped by the taxes, and that's something that we have to work our way through. The other thing is the board and the administration needs to sell to the community what we are going to do with the money that's given us. So we have to be completely open with them, let them know what this money is going for. If they don't know what they're spending it on, they don't do that at home. They don't just throw money out the door and say, go get what you want. I think with a lot more accountability from us and letting the people of the district know, we'll have a much better chance at succeeding.
Thank you, Leo. And last but not least, Matt Goldaddy.
Yeah, so I think when we're in the business of educating kids, so I think our number one priority should be academic achievement and making sure that, one, we are making sure every single child in our district, reads at grade level. And I think part of that obviously goes into making sure we have the resources to do that, right? So it plays right into what everybody has already said. We need to make sure there's resources available to our district to be able to educate the children at the level that we expect, that we've come to accustom to. I mean, right now I think there's a strong disconnect to what we are expecting as citizens and as parents, and what we're actually getting, and what we're actually paying for. And so, like you guys have said, graduating class 320, incoming class is 190. There's a structural imbalance, right? In the early 2000s, we were blessed with a huge advancement of, development of homes, and it brought in a ton of young families. And so as the district continued to grow year after year, we had no problem covering all of our expenses, because a lot of our costs are fixed costs, and so as more kids came into the district, enrollment covered all those additional costs. We are not in the same situation. And so I think what's huge that we have to do is make sure that we're working with our county, our city, and making sure that we have the development happening. So right now there's a 54 apartment complex, 144 being considered, and then a huge development happening east of the Heritage development. So I think we need to continue to work with our city, our counties, and make sure that we are attracting people, and so we can continue to fund our education going forward along with a levy.
Thank you very much. All right, our fifth question is going to begin with Kim Holden. Ms. Holden, what is a school board member's role and responsibility? How does that role differ from that of the superintendent or administration?
The school board's role is to provide leadership to the community by conducting business in a fair, equitable way with each other, working together, and for the community, for communicating with them and getting their feedback. We need to set policies. We need to follow the chain of command. So if there's issues that come to us, we need to send them to the appropriate person and they follow the chain of command. We don't just directly answer what they should do or shouldn't do. We oversee it. We create the big picture. We hire and work closely with the superintendent. We review the budgets. We do the managing the teacher contracts, the collective bargaining process also. We trust in the teachers and the administration to do their job, and we are here to work with them and create relationships to help each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jean Schmidt, what is a school board member's role and responsibility, and how does that role differ from that of the superintendent or administration?
The school board's responsibility in general is, as Kim said, and just grouped very simply, governance and policy. In our schools, we have policies. Some are mandated. That means we must follow the law. We have others that we can come up with in our schools, and we determine those on an ongoing basis. We review those and vote on those, again, with adherence to the law. That is one of our requirements. We also help to govern the schools. So that means, like we've talked about, maintaining a sound budget, looking over things like our mission, our value statement. We're strategic in our planning. It's mainly oversight that the school board provides, not management. Just oversight. I see us as a big rudder, making sure that we are following the law and complying within those means and being creative with how we are strategic and carry out our finances. Versus a superintendent works with the administration, works with the community. He works, or she works with the community as well as a school board member to our key stakeholders, our families, our teachers, et cetera, our staff. But back to the superintendent would work directly with the staff and carry out the mission and the values that are set by the school board. And then, of course, then the staff work with the students. So it's a good system.
Thank you, Ms. Schmidt. Carrie Cuff, your question is, what is a school board member's role and responsibility, and how does that role differ from that of the superintendent or administration?
Yeah, I think the clear differentiator between the two is the board creates the policy and the administration implements it. That's kind of the main distinction between the two. But I think as a board member, one of our big things is to talk to the community, right? To be a representative for the voices that are out there. I think when people elect us, they elect us because of what we have to say. So I think that's utmost importance, is to not just come with your own ideas, but to really draw off of how people are feeling and what the message they want to get across. I also think it's super important that there's clear policy. It's very difficult for a superintendent or a teacher to follow a policy that is just not set out well. And so I think whenever those are made, it is just way more helpful to the school and in the running of it by having those be clear. I think we also in that need to plan for things that might not happen. If we see it around us, let's include it so that when that question comes up, somebody doesn't have to go ask somebody, that it's there for them. And ultimately, I think the big thing is the community. I'm going to cut down short, but really just creating environments where there's partnership between all parties so that the administration can run the school well.
Thank you, Carrie. Mr. Leo Giesen.
First and foremost, the school board's responsibility is to the members of the district and the taxpayer. When I was on the board before, everything that went through here, everything that we talked about, everything that we implemented, the first thing at the top of my mind is, when I go out into the community, what am I going to hear? It's our number one responsibility is to them. As far as the administration goes, it's their job to run the school. It's our job to provide guidance for that. We give guidance for budget, guidance for rules, and in the overall scheme of things, it's the superintendent who works for us. The principals work for the superintendent, the teachers work for the principals. It's very simple process, and it's for the administration, it's our job to guide them. For the members of the district, it's our job to inform them and implement the policies that they want.
Thank you, Leo. Mr. Goldaddy?
Yeah, so I think a lot of the things that I agree with a lot of the people that what you always already have talked about. But yes, but roll the board, represent and listen to the people, provide that governance over the entire district, and then hire the superintendent, which I think we did a fine job of the last about a year ago, and then provide that vision for the district. So as I've been working with the superintendent as a board, we obviously want to be there to provide that vision. So he or she, in this case he, wants, as he builds that leadership team around him and wants to implement that vision, we need to give him clear guidance on what that looks like. And I think as a board, we've done a good job of working with him to make sure he understands what we want as a district and what we as a community want. And then from there, we need to hold that person accountable. I mean, at the end of the day, if they aren't listening, if leadership is not listening, we need to take action or understand that, you know, there's things that can change, obviously, if those things aren't being implemented. So yes, roll the board, providing that governance and that vision for the district, and then admin carrying out that vision for the district and educating our kids.
Thank you very much, Matt. And last but not least, Mr. Havlicek.
To me, the buck stops with the board. When decisions are made, they are the responsibility of the board. We get feedback from the people that are in finance, the finance directors. Our superintendent takes care of the day-to-day activities, hires the principals, his generals, so to speak. But when it's all said and done, the final responsibility for that school's success or failure lies with the board. That being said, we go through it by what has been mentioned already, setting goals, setting standards, setting policies that are our targets. That's what we are shooting for. And we have to hire a good superintendent to see that those things are carried out. And I agree with Matt, we have hired a good superintendent, and things are going very well from the standpoint of day-to-day activities and the way it has been addressed. And I will definitely vote for extension of his contract when that comes up. So the issue that we have at hand is we have to be open and transparent. I heard that word before. And we are open and transparent when we have an ear to our public and we answer their questions as best as we can. But we also have to realize that we need to be unified as well in our answers. And that's where we sometimes give that a little bit of a job to the superintendent to make sure that we are speaking unified.
Thank you very much. We have one final question before we get to your closing comments. And I think this question is probably the one that everybody would expect to see after the last couple years. This question is first going to go to Ms. Schmidt. The new Prague area schools have asked for a levy increase the past 2 academic school years. Both operation levies failed, resulting in $6.5 million in budget reductions. Would you be in support of a future referendum for the school district? And if so, how do you plan to present that referendum to the district?
It's a great question, and it's a very valid question, and I would say that it's a pressing issue in our district. Yes, I would absolutely support it. I think it's necessary, and I think we need to be visionary with it. We need to think about our concern for the students and the progress they make at school, and that progress can be encouraged or held back by the funding that's given to our schools to provide teachers, to provide interventions, to provide resources. I'm not sure that everyone's aware, but we had to cut just short of 30 staff members in our schools this year, and there were lots of other cuts that we needed to make, unfortunately, that directly impacted our kids. So I would likely, just thinking on the spot, I think we need to lay out a sound financial picture of how we would allocate funds and be as specific as we can. I think that we would need to gather community information, their feedback, what they see as valuable, the things that they question. I think it's very important to maintain trust in our community, and that is what will gain traction in something like a levy and pushing that forward. We need to partner together with our community so that they see the value of having the levy passed again, or passed. Yeah, I could name other things, but not coming to mind right away.
Well, we
Sorry.
gave you the stop sign anyway, so you're done. Thank you very much. And we'll turn that question over to Ms. Carrie Cuff, and I will repeat this. The new Prague area schools have asked for a levy increase the past 2 academic school years. Both operation levies failed, resulting in $6.5 million in budget reductions. Would you be in support of a future referendum for the school district? And if so, how would you plan to present that to the district?
Thank you. I would have to say that I'm a person that weighs decisions. I have to know the facts. I have to know what's a part of it, what's in front of me, in order to say yes or no. Because I think if I was sitting here today and I just said yes, in the contract that comes up, or for the next referendum, let's say that they are going to cut teacher salaries to increase student revenue, I'd have to vote yes because I said so, because I hold to my word. And so I think for me, I can't say that. I need to see what it is. But I think what can be started today is going and figuring out why people said no. I think that just needs to be a huge thing. And last night at the working session, it was talked about, when do we start considering a referendum again? And they stated, the spring is probably the next time. Well, if it starts in the spring and you're hoping to pass it in November, it's not enough time. And there are things that can be done today, like interfacing with the people that said no, that can really get out there and get in front of it. And, truly it's the budgeting, it's the putting out there transparently. This is an FTE position that will be eliminated, not just we want smaller class sizes. So I really think that it's not something I can say yes or no to. And the time would come and I would look at it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Giesen.
Not unequivocally, but yes, I would say I would back a levy. It would be our responsibility. It's failed twice because apparently the people of the district do not trust the district to make wise choices with their money. What we have to do is talk to them, find out what they want, what they need, and then work within the system to do that. I have been a member of this district my entire life. I've been a taxpayer since 1985. I've been through any number of these. Some pass, some fail. And there are many people like myself. I did not have a child in the school district until 2005. From 1984 to 2005, I always voted yes for the referendums because I came from this school. I know what it's about. I know what it's for. The district is a lot larger now than it was 40 years ago. That just doesn't cut muster anymore. We have to be a lot more transparent, and we have to be willing to talk to the people, the taxpayers, and find out what they want done with their money instead of what we think we should do with it.
Thank you, Leo. Mr. Goldaddy.
Yes, so I mean, this is something that's been on the board for the last 5 years and having to go through 2 failed referendums. I mean, ultimately, I think as a board, I know personally I take responsibility for not doing a good enough job to get these passed. I mean, it's our role to get out there and make sure that we are communicating the facts to people. So ultimately, communication is going to be a key part of this. So yes, the answer to your question, yes, I would support a levy. I understand that we have a structural imbalance. I already went into that earlier in one of my answers, is that we're not blessed with the population growth that we had 15, 20 years ago. I think it's been about 1% to 2% for the last decade. So we need to figure out a way locally to cover our expenses and be able to provide our kids the education that we're expecting. So ultimately, we need to do a better job as a board and as administration to communicate why we need these things, what things will get cut if we don't get a levy and get additional local funding. Local funding has remained flat for almost over the last decade. And obviously we all know that expenses in our own budgets have gone up each and every single year, and it's no different, the budget that we're managing here. So ultimately, yes, I would support a levy. We need it. And then we just have to do a better job communicating that to our people, to our citizens, and making sure that they understand the importance of it.
Thank you, Matt. Mr. Havlicek.
I look at it as a question of, do we want to have a continued adequate education getting by, or do we want to have a quality education, one that New Prague is accustomed to providing for its students? And I will push for this levy referendum because I want our students to have a quality education. And a quality education means having a levy referendum that is passed and that can provide us with the funds that will allow us to continue hiring the best teachers, that will have all the best resources that we have at our hands to meet the needs of our district. We came very close to passing it, 36 votes last time. And like I said before, one of our board members chose not to support it. And when that happens, you are put behind the 8 ball when you're going for that levy referendum. We also did a very poor job of getting the parents of the students to come to the polls. A huge percentage of parents did not even vote for the levy referendum one way or the other. That's terrible. They didn't. Now, was it because they thought, oh, it's going to pass, why do I have to go to the polls? Or did some of them say, well, I'm not going to pony up the extra money because I just don't care if my kid gets a great education or not? I hope that wasn't it, but we've got to do a good job of saying, parents, we want a good education for your kids. You need to pass this levy referendum.
Thank you, Dennis. And lastly, Ms. Kim Holden.
What can I say that hasn't been said? But I will say yes, that I would support a levy referendum. I would say that we needed for the education, for the future of the kids. We do need to find a way to communicate better with the community and be transparent and find out what are the questions, what don't you understand about what we're trying to do and what we would do with that money. And give the detail that you can give. Of course, you're probably not going to know everything at that time, but you have to give them as much as you possibly can so that they can work with it and make their own decision. We also have a community that has a lot of kids that don't have, a lot of parents that do not have kids in the district anymore, or their kids have gone through the district. Well, you hear comments the last couple times, yes, I didn't vote, I didn't think I needed to, or yes, my kids are no longer in the district. But it's still important. It's still part of your community. It's still your school system. And those future students are someday going to take care of you. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Kim. That brings us to closing statements, and we are going to move back to the beginning. We're going to start with Miss Carrie Cuff. You have 90 seconds.
Thank you. Why vote for me? I think the biggest commitment I can make is to listen. I commit to listening to the community. I commit to listening to fellow board members and hearing what they have to say. I think my goal would be to just create a partnership between the administration, the parents, the board, and really become a cohesive team that is all playing towards the same goal, and that is our kids, and watching them succeed. And I think there's just a lot of ways to do that, whether it be parent forums where we're asking questions, student forums where we're listening to what the students are actually experiencing. I think along with those things, along with my financial background in commercial real estate, I've managed $1 million budgets, and I've done a great job at it, and I've been a part of very, very difficult decisions. Through those decisions, I've removed myself and listened to the perspective of other people. Because I think when we all do our homework and we come together with different ideas, then we can talk about things. I'm not someone that will just say yes and have it move on. So I'm committed to making this district even better than it already is today and serving the community.
Thank you, Carrie. Mr. Leo Giesen, you have 90 seconds for a closing statement.
I won't need all of that. I'm going to keep this very short. I'm not going to give you a sales pitch. I have worked with 3 of the members here on the board already. I've worked with one who is not here. I've familiarized myself with the other 2 candidates and with the members of the board who are not running. And I think if this is what you got to pick from, I think New Prague School District's going to be in pretty good shape. That's it.
Thank you, Leo. Mr. Goldaddy.
No, thank you, and thank you for everybody for participating. I appreciate you guys giving us opportunity for us to voice what we believe in and why we should be chosen as the next school board leaders. So, for me, I think I've been school board member now for 5 years. I got sworn in the basement of my house, my old house, on March 20th. It was right after the announcement of COVID and the pandemic. So I think I've proven to be a thoughtful and calm leader, even though the world around us has not been calm over the last 5 years. We've had the global pandemic resulting in like division in our society regarding how we feel about things. We've had to encounter budget cuts. We had to hire a superintendent. But that being said, it's been super rewarding at the same time. So I think I'm a solution-driven leader that at the end of the day has a really good relationship with our leaders. And I think by electing me for another 4 years, we can continue that going forward. So thank you, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt. Mr. Havlicek.
Again, thank you, Chamber of Commerce, for sponsoring this opportunity to have this forum. I'd like to continue to be a school board member because education is one of my top priorities in my life. It is where I've gotten, for me personally, the most important thing, and I wanted our school district to provide a quality education for every student that walks in through our doors. And I don't want to be a judgment of them, whether they have this type of lifestyle or that type of lifestyle. I don't come with any kind of agenda that is judgmental. I want to accept every kid that comes into our school district and give that child the best education that we can possibly give. So whatever it takes as far as a school board member, I'm willing to do it. I am a person that does not take sides lightly. I want to work with people and make sure that there is consensus and agreement. I want to make sure that we work together, and we have, as these 4 people have so far, worked very closely together and has run a very successful school district, and hopefully we'll continue to be able to do that.
Thank you, Dennis. Ms. Kim Holden.
Yes, I am not a salesperson. I am part of a school board, and I think that we need to be a team. I think we need to think critically without being critical of each other. Negativity never solved any kind of a problem. We need to look at our challenges, communicate, stay motivated, work with each other, and do what we can to the best of our abilities. And there's always, always more to work on and improve. You're never done. So, thank you.
Thank you, Kim. And last but not least, Jean Schmidt.
I think I could duplicate everything everyone said. I am here because I believe in our kids. I believe in this community. I believe in the potential of our kids. I was talking to my dad earlier this week, and he said to me, Jean, keep fighting for those kids. Every one of them matters. Just like Denny said, it doesn't matter to me where they come from, the background they come from. We need to focus on those kids, each one of them, when they come in the school building, who they are and what their potential is. And our goal as a district is to give the highest level of education possible. And I love our core values, which is to do what's right, commit to excellence, and show others you care. If we can instill that in our children and our students and our staff, we have won. We are really, when I think about our job as a school board, what we're wanting to give our community is hope. We're wanting to give our community a future. We're wanting to stabilize our community. We're wanting to create jobs. We're wanting to create a robust economy, and it can happen in New Prague. But we have to be unified in that approach. And Denny said this to me a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago. It's only been a few months since I've been on the board. But when I started, he said, Jean, we are a group of 7. We have one voice. We come together for the benefit of the students, for the benefit of the community. And I love that. That is what I chase after. And so it has been an honor to work with all of these people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That brings us to thank yous. I want to thank everybody up there for the time that you're putting in for running for the school board. I want to thank you for the time that you've already served on the school board. And I want to thank you for the future time that you might be spending on the school board for us. We do all appreciate it. I thank Brooke Stika and the Chamber for putting this together. I'd like to thank Barb Boothie for doing the timing, which is probably the hardest job of this whole thing tonight. And I will remind everyone that if you wanted to check this out, the recording will be put up on the website for New Prague Area Schools, which is www.npaschools.org. Last but not least, we vote Tuesday, November 5th. I encourage everyone to get out there and vote. If you don't know where to vote, you can call the chamber. I'm sure they can help you find a place to go. I'm Mike Herman, happy